Right, right. No, you're absolutely right. And that shopkeeper over in Scotland, in Glasgow,
Yes.
was actually a member of our community, the
Yes, he
Ahmadiyya
is.
community. And we as Muslims, we are persecuted. We as Ahmadi Muslims are very much persecuted all throughout the world. And in fact, Muslims are persecuted by ISIS moreover than any other individual or any other group. So keep that in mind, actually, for any individual who is a non-Muslim and who is afraid of ISIS. We are all in the same boat.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
To think that we are going to
what
be
is the reason
in this front is not the right idea, and in fact, we have to be unified. But here's the problem. Sir.
Go ahead.
When you have individuals that are supposed to be one day leaders of our nation, quite possibly leaders of our nation, when you have them paint this brush entirely and say Islam hates us. And when I look at that, I think to myself, I'm an American. I was born here. In fact, right now, just as this weekend is going by, I had to drive down to Columbus, Ohio, because my sister just had her second baby girl. Literally, like 2:00 in the morning. So I'm over here in the hospital, and my young niece is an American-born Muslim. So are individuals saying that this young American-born Muslim girl, apparently she's going to hate herself because she's going to be both a Muslim and American? That just doesn't seem right.
No, what is the hold on just a minute. Phil want to ask you a question. What is the actual reason that some of the Muslims persecute different Muslims, different sects of Muslims? What is that reason?
Well, it goes back to the idea of individuals being radicalized, as we talked about in the very beginning. When you look at, let's say for one aspect is sectarian violence. If you want to put it in comparative terms, let's go back to the 16th century.
But what is that reason?
Yeah.
Who radicalizes?
Let me explain that.
I want this question. What is the reason for the radicalization? Who radicalizes the ones that act in a manner of real violence toward other Muslims and to Western society? Yes.
Sure. Okay. It's a power struggle. If you look at a lot of these nations, these Middle Eastern nations, the individuals, the vast majority of individuals are illiterate, uneducated. Their economy structure is basically almost non-existent. They obviously are. We're talking about gang mentality that exists there, where young individuals especially, are easily manipulated. So when you have individuals that are in power, let's say religious clerics, right? And in their mindset, okay, they want to have more money, they want to have more power. Obviously, this is something that exists, everywhere all throughout the world. What is the best way then to manipulate, young individuals to do your bidding? Religion being the top, the easiest thing to utilize and use to in fact radicalize a person. So what they'll do then? I'm sorry.
Oh, I just had another question to ask you. Do you follow the Quran?
I do.
And in the Quran, do you then believe that Sharia law is the ruling force of basically the world?
I believe that Sharia law is good for me as a Muslim, right? And it should not be enforced upon another individual. But then you have, at the same time, you have to ask yourself, what exactly is Sharia law? Sharia law literally is just a religious doctrine.
No, Sharia law also is. Sharia law is a form of law that is very repressive. It says that non-Muslims can't possess weapons. It says that they have to cut off the hands of thieves. It says that you shall not insult Allah or His Prophet, or you are subject to death.
That actually is a complete misconception of what the Quran says and what Islam in fact believes. And I'm glad that you pointed this out, because this goes back to that idea of what is the responsibility of a Muslim in a non-Muslim nation? And in fact, what is the responsibility of a Muslim in a Muslim nation? This is why these types of misconceptions and points, not only do non-Muslims misunderstand them, but Muslims themselves do, which is why they end up getting radicalized, because they're uneducated or illiterate. If you were to go to trueislam.com, there are 11 points listed there, 11 common misconceptions that individuals can look up, specifically see corresponding verses and sayings of the Prophet Muhammad that refer to those attributes. Things such as jihad can only be used in jihad is, you cannot harm innocent individuals. You must have loyalty towards your nation. That non-Muslims, Christians and Jews can be rewarded as well. That women have equal rights and are to be respected and to be empowered as well. Those types of attributes are all backed up by the Quran and by this idea of Sharia.
And
it's
the
a complete
Quran
misconception that it's not.
Quran 4.89 says those who reject Islam must be killed. That's also in the Quran.
See, when you look at verses in the Quran, right, you can't just cherry pick and just take one verse out and say, all right, well, this is what it says, and then leave it at that.
Well,
when you look at the verses, and this is something, again, if we were to go to trueislam.com, and you could see the corresponding verses and sayings as well, it's important to understand what the verse before and after says.
Yeah,
so in the verse that you were referencing.
Yeah, what she's pointing out. All she's doing is trying to just point out is that this is how people become radicalized. Radicalized. This is how people could become radicalized by, like you say, clerics just pulling out cherry picking verses like that right there. But we cannot ignore that the State Department just came out with a statement that right now that around the world that Christians there is a genocide that's going on, and this genocide is happening because of those radicals that are killing and murdering and burning. I mean, we can't ignore all these things.
And we're not for ignoring it. Neither is the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association and the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. In fact, if I may, we have a caucus on Capitol Hill. Mm-hmm. It's called the Ahmadiyya Muslim Caucus. It's co-chaired by Republican Congressman Ted Poe of Texas and Democratic Congresswoman Jackie Spear of California.
Yes.
This caucus specifically addresses religious persecution all throughout the world.
Yes.
Not just persecution of Ahmadiyya Muslims, but of Christians as well, of Yazidis, of all individuals. In fact, Easter Day, on Sunday, Christians were brutally murdered and killed in Pakistan on the day of Easter at a park.
Yes.
And you know what? That hurt us. And guess what? Muslims were killed along with them as well. Again, this shows that we have to remain unified and together in this fight. If we start separating, that's exactly what empowers that enemy more.
Well,
so I agree with you.
It is a separation.
Ignore these facts.
When I read Yazidis are yourself, you are a part of a different part of Islam, and then the part of Islam, absolutely. People like yourself are being persecuted, but we have to talk about the extremists and we have to be honest about it. These extremists are murdering, and I'm talking about just here, they're radicalizing people here in America. I mean, we have a number of incidents that just recently happened.
I agree with you. Again, I don't think you guys actually believe that I want to ignor that, or the Ahmadiyya Muslim community wants to ignore it.
But what I would like
to go to front and center. In fact, we're one of the organizations that is pushing it front and center.
Well, just like you objected to the what Donald Trump said, and a lot of Muslims objected to what he said, I object to when Hillary Clinton or even George Bush say Islam is not the problem, because if you did not revert to the quotes in the Quran, it wouldn't be Islam. It would be another religion. And so what we see is violence toward other Muslims or to a Western society is all back to somebody did something that those Quran messages say is against principles of Islam, and yet people like Hillary Clinton say Islam has nothing to do with it.
Well, then
that's where we have to.
The problem is you cannot blame the religion for what the individuals do to it.
Oh yes, you can if it's the religion that they're following. Can you, Mira? I'm sorry. Can you tell me what taqiyya means?
Taqiyya, yes. Taqiyya is a form of being, if your life is in danger, for example, right? Let's say if I'm being persecuted, if I'm going to be killed, right? And somebody's telling me that I need to let's say, convert to something else, some other form of religion, in order to save my life, then I have the ability to lie, let's say, or withhold truth, not necessarily lie, but withhold truth in order then to protect myself and save my life. That is what it's meant and supposed to be.
Well, Quran 338 says Islamists are obligated to lie to advance Islam.
Again, what we have to do is look at these verses in appropriate, proper context, right? And and if I could answer actually beforehand, because I didn't fully answer the previous question that you had regarding the verse in the Quran that says that Islam says you must kill all the infidels, which is something that people love to quote. And it's the problem is when they look at the verses within the Quran, they fail to realize what the verse before says and what the verse after says. And in these contexts, when you see beforehand when it says God has given you no right to transgress against anybody, if they fight you, then God has only given you permission to fight if they fight you. And if they fight you not, and if they wish to be aloof from you and wish to create peace, then again, God has given you no right to transgress against them. What we're talking about here is just self-defense in the time of war. It doesn't mean, okay, we see one small line of one verse where God says, slay them where they lay, and that means that any individual is allowed to just run up in the street and slay a non-Muslim. No, it's if anybody is killing you,
I'm going to have to cut it there. We're at the end of the show, my friend. We'll talk to you next week, folks. Thank you for listening to the Abolitionist Roundtable. I'll call you later, Amir. Thank you.
The Wham Talk 1600 listeners to continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil, Del, and Janice at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.